This is a Bugaboo Buffalo chassis, and we're going to be having a look at the brake system. There are several parts inside that can have problems with the brake system, including the button for locking the back wheel in place. You also have to get at that through the brake system. So if the wheel isn't locking in place, then we'll show parts for that too. Commonly, sometimes it'll break on one side, but not the other, and we'll deal with that as well. So the first thing when dealing with the brake system is you have to remove this outside panel, and there are 3 screws, here, here, and here. I believe there are 4 on the donkey, which essentially follows the same principles as what I'm going to show in this video. So we remove the 3 screws, and then we can take off this. And this piece has come off too. There's a hole here, which corresponds with this, as such. And so the basic principle is that when the lever is down, this part goes down, and then clicks into the tooth wheel on the inside of the rim of the wheel itself, like this, and it unbrakes, yes? So remove this. Now you can pull this part out, and with this part is going to come the pieces for the button for locking the wheel in place, and a spring and a piece here. Don't lose those. They go in here, and that's so that it can click into different positions. Okay, removing this part. On the opposite side, over there, there's another bar and another wheel, which works with the same principle on the opposite side. And the bar, instead of being like a tube, is hexagonal, and it slots in here. And that's kind of a pain while you're putting it back together. This piece here is the button that holds the wheel in place. I can show you. So this one is still in place, whereas this came off with this. And it uses this spring, and it would essentially be here. When you push up, this little lip here pulls off of a groove that's on the inside of the axle, or that on the end of the axle of the back wheel, and releases it. This is how you pull this out. Sometimes when the brakes aren't functioning, like this side works but the other side doesn't work, it has to do with this rivet here, which has somehow ripped through the plastic or fallen out, and this tube is no longer properly connected to the plastic, so this part will move but the tube won't, and thus will not activate the bar on the opposite side and the opposite brake. But sometimes this can just be a matter of oiling as well. You can use WD-40, especially if it's a problem deeper inside, because WD-40 is best on the metal. And you can also just use a silicone spray. My WD-40 is empty, so I'm going to use silicone spray today. Whenever you're putting parts back together, if you want to go all out, you can also use a thicker grease. This is food industry grease. It's a little bit not quite slippery enough, so when I use this, I usually use it in combination with the WD-40 in this application. You can also use like a car grease, which is slippery on its own. So putting this back in, it's going to be hard to show on the camera, but you can actually see deep in there the end of the other bar. And that's a tricky part because you're going to have to get it to slide on. But when you're putting it back together, you have to first deal with this incredibly fiddly part. Put the spring back on. Wait, yes. And you see how it has like a wall on this side, but not this side. So the part without the wall is going to go towards you. I'm doing this wrong. Part without the wall goes towards you, but it goes in like this. And slides into the hole, and then you have to get this spring under this little lip And now the tricky part is to get this thing back into place without knocking that spring out of order. Entirely under the lip there. And I'm just going to see in what position this other side is. It's in the unlocked position, which means that you're going to aim it so that the lever is up against the top end. If I had disassembled it when it was the opposite, then of course you would want it at the bottom end. So it's when you get to this spot that it's kind of hard with this button. So you're going to compress the brake button a little bit and slip it in, and then it's going to kind of pop into place. In that case, it worked. I push the button and I can see that the spring is activated as it should be. And we have this piece. In this case, there's no wall here, there's a wall here, and you want the wall facing out. And it slides in like this, see? And this again is so that it can lock into both positions. You're going to go with this hole because it's on this side, yes? There. That's in the locked position. That hole, of course, was on that peg, if I didn't make that clear enough. And we're going to slide this back into place. There we go. Hold on. There. Everything is functioning as it should be. Just replace the screws. Number one. And the other two. And this will essentially conclude the video. If you're opening up the other side, you of course won't have the lever, but as far as the locking button and everything else, it's the same principle. You can do that and oil in there as well if you like. If it's just a matter of oiling, you can also just spray in here, use a generous dose of oil, and it should solve a lot of problems from both sides. Spray in, leave it on its top so that gravity can do its work, pushing in, flip it over, do the same thing after 5 minutes. In any case, if you have any troubles with the brakes, or the locking of the back wheels, then I hope this video has helped you. You can always contact us if you have any questions. And we would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel if you did find this helpful. It really helps us to make more videos in the future.